Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we are playing the Healing Deck. We are going to be playing a deck based around Grand Pabbie. Why Grand Pabbie? Because he has one of the coolest abilities out of new cards revealed and now available for Rise of Floodborn. He allows you to gain 2 lore anytime you heal a character. And what that means is you can gain an obscene amount of lore through mass healing. And you can gain a bunch of lore unexpectedly by dropping Grand Pabbie, healing a bunch of stuff, and questing with your characters, and suddenly the opponent who was counting the lore pips on your side of the field, counting the lore pips on their side of the battlefield, and they're like, oh, in 2 turns I've got you. Like, no, I got Grand Pabbie, and I'm going to heal you to death. And, well, heal my characters to life, I guess is more appropriate. So Grand Pabbie is the centerpiece of our deck. We'll also be playing the other supporting healing, Rapunzel Gifted Artist, which allows us to draw a card whenever we heal a character, as she's a lot less impactful than Grand Pabbie, but since we're playing a healing deck, we might as well go all heal. So, what are the good healing cards that we can include? Well, one that comes to mind is Jasmine, Queen of Agrabah. Jasmine allows us to heal all our characters by 2 whenever she enters the battlefield and whenever she quests, not challenge. So whenever she quests, whenever she enters, mass heal. That's a mass heal on demand, which Grand Pabbie just really loves. And, well, we've gotten with Rise of Floodborn a little shift target for Jasmine. The Heir of Agrabah, which becomes the Queen of Agrabah in a very obvious way. Also, when you play her, heal 1 damage off a character and gain 2 lore off of Grand Pabbie, which is what we like to see. Just a cheap 1-drop, ink her if you don't need her, shift if you do, and just get these heal triggers for 1 ink later in the game. Another cheap option that's not technically in the healing tribe is Pawpsicle. It's a cantrip. When you play it, you draw a card, and later on you can just sacrifice it for free to heal a character for 2. This is an amazing card in a heal tribal deck. Actually, it's fantastic in items, fantastic in healing, and good otherwise. There is very little downside to playing some Pawpsicles. Overall, just a fantastic card. Speaking of fantastic cards that heal, you know where I'm going next with this, right? Rapunzel, gifted with healing. She's already one of the best cards in the game, and she fits our tribal synergies, so we need to include her. Alright, now let's look for some more nice healing cards. Well, there's another Rapunzel that does a nice job. We have Rapunzel Sunshine, 1/4. Exert her to remove 2 damage from a character. Just some nice healing synergies right there. We're looking for good 2-drops. She's just a solid card that's great in healing deck. Snow White has the same ability as our 1-drop Jasmine. When you play her, just heal a character for 2 with pretty decent stats, 2, 3 for 2. So decent cards on their own that really fit our healing tribal synergy. And that's about the healing that we want to have if we look back. Heal, 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 payoffs. Okay. That's enough healing really to trigger those payoffs. Now we just want to make our list consistent and a bit more solid. So we have some nice 2s, we have 1/4, pair of 5s, so we're looking for some 3-drops maybe. So we're playing Amber and we're playing Sapphire. And one of my 3-drop of preference is Mickey Mouse Detective. In particular, Grand Pabbie costs 7 uninkable, which is quite expensive. So we need a way to reach that amount of ink. Mickey Mouse is a good way to do so. I also really like Gramma Tala, so I'll add a pair of Gramma Talas to kind of fill in our 2-drops. We're already playing 8 of the healer type, so Gramma is going to give us a bit more flexibility depending on where we're on play, on the draw, and what our opponent is doing. Sometimes we just have the time to ramp, and Gramma is the play. And on the other side, we're going to be playing a pair of James. I really like James, even though it's common. It's 3/3 quest for 2, and whenever he's banished, he becomes ink. So we have Mickey as our main ramp, pair of James, pair of Gramma Talas to support the ramping if we need to. And now we're looking at some removal options. Let It Go is the removal option per excellence. And we've gotten another nice removal option, which is the world's greatest criminal. Where are you, greatest criminal? There you are. We are going to be playing in 4 copies. Why 4 copies? Because of the next 2 cards. So World's Greatest Criminal is a song, so you can sing it for free if you have a 3-drop or more. And it banishes any big hitting character, so anything that costs 5 or more. So this is a good way to take care of these pesky Cinderella, Stoutheart, and other pesky big cards, really. But if we have ways to support, we can support our opponent's characters and take them out using the World's Greatest Criminal. If we look at our curve, our 2-drops look nice. We have some nice 1-drop plays, but we don't necessarily need a 1-drop. Our 3-drops, well, we could use a bit more 3-drops, really. And 4-drops are okay. And we could use a bit more 5, 6 drops. Okay. So, what other good cards are there? Well, there's this new one that's actually fairly powerful with the name of Alice. There you are. Alice, growing girl. She's a big payoff. Once you have a bunch of characters in place, she can suddenly quest for 5 if your other characters quest. She has high toughness, and she gives support to all your other characters, which means that any of your other characters can boost the attack of your opponent's characters. And then they become the world's greatest criminal, and they get sent to jail, unless they have a get-out-of-jail-free card, which doesn't exist in Lorcana. So, Alice, growing girl, solid card on her own, supports our world's greatest criminal mind. Pun intended. And then, well, looking at the 5-drops. Or 5 and 6 drops. I'm not playing enough princesses for Moana, and that's another deck, really. Mufasa's nice, but we're playing a bit of smaller characters. Queen's okay, but I'm not sure I want to commit to another shifting 1-drop. Which brings us to Mr. Maximus. Palace Horse. 4/5 high willpower. Bodyguard allows us to protect some of our other characters. Just a solid card on its own. And with his support, he can transform any 1-powered character or above that the opponents own into a world's greatest mastermind. Criminal. I've kind of forgotten the name of the card at this point. But it is the world's greatest, so it might just be both. Which brings us to this. So now we have a pair of nice supporting cards. We have 4 copies of the world's greatest criminal, inkable if you don't have anything to do with it. With Let It Go, we now have 8 pieces of versatile removal. Grand Pabbie, Rapunzel, a bunch of healers. So what are we missing? We're missing a little bit of flex spots. And maybe another top end. So, in terms of top ends, if we look, I mean, Hades is great, but I don't really want to have a pair of 7-drop non-inkable. It seems like a solution for trouble. I could consider King Louis, who heals himself whenever a character is banished, but he's just too expensive for what I want to do. Again, I want to avoid the non-inkables top end because of the Grand Pabbies, so Stitch is going to be my pick of choice. Just a reliable source of card draw, solid stats, and we're already playing a bunch of 2-drops with some 1-drops. So I think the Rockstar makes sense to include in a few copies. And then to wrap things up, there's another interesting item right around here, the Gumbo Pot, which basically says heal 2 of your characters. It's not going to happen very often, but in certain cases, if you can change the combat mat to make one of your character lives, it's worth it. If you can get double trigger off of your Grand Pabbie, that's 4 lore. Also, it heals for 1. So if your characters have 2 damage and you have a Gumbo Pot and a Jasmine and your Grand Pabbie, then suddenly you can heal them for 1, get the double triggers, and they're not fully healed, which means you can heal them again to generate more triggers, draw more cards, gain more lore depending on whether it's Rapunzel or a Grand Pabbie in play. And so we have our flex spots defined with the Gumbo Pot. and the Stitch, which gives us a pretty nice curve with lots of synergies, good removal. Overall, this list feels fairly well balanced. And as long as the opponent isn't too aggressive too fast, and we have time to set up, we can always surprise our opponent with the oldest and wisest gnome available. Well, I hope that you'll enjoy the games that are to follow. They should be pretty great, because I haven't filled them before this. Yes, they're pretty great. So keep watching to see the deck in action with some games coming right up. Let's see what this healing deck can do. Jasmine, Maximus, the White Maximus, Let It Go, World's Greatest Criminal Mind, and a Jasmine going first. I think I'm going to send a Maximus and a Let It Go. Back into the deck, and we find Mickey. Mickey's pretty nice here. Let's ink a big Jasmine. Actually, we're on the play. We don't need to play a small Jasmine. Fedora goes to the ink pile. Cinderella, Singer of Doom, makes her way on the battlefield for her opponent. As we find a Gramma Tala, which I do like when the opponent's not applying a bunch of pressure. Good old Gramma Tala. Now, what is the opponent playing? Is it an Ember Steel Songs? It's an Amber Amethyst. Friends on the other side, turn 2. That's the way Cinderella does it. Oh, with a Pinocchio to support. Let's ink that Snow White. We're jumping right on top to the Mickey ramp. And Gramma Tala will generate our 5th point of ink. Just going to Cinderella and saying, your dress is too pretty, I'm out of here. Which brings us quite far ahead to 5 ink to our opponent's 2, soon to be 3. And that Pinocchio is just a big quester. If the opponent has a bodyguard to put in front, we could be in trouble here. Just in time. Oof, that's scary. And big bodyguard, Goofy, comes in. So one just in time allows our opponent to play a 5-drop, and it's the big musketeer that hits the battlefield. Alright. Well, to beat a musketeer, we can play a horse. Let's play it in bodyguard mode. So we can quest at Mickey. I do want to ink something. I think I'm going to ink Rapunzel in this particular situation. Mostly since with Maximus in the battlefield, if I get to quest with him, I can pump any of our opponent's characters in range of the world's greatest criminal mind to take it out. One fell sweep, just snapping our fingers. Pretty good removal spell for Amber. Oh, and here comes the goat. Gain lore when you play it, gain lore when it gets banished. This Pinocchio goes to Questing Town as well, and Cinderella. It's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Gonna ink our Jasmine. Here, I think I have to quest Maximus to play the world's greatest criminal mind. Gonna boost our opponent's Goofy. Take it out with a song. snapped. Which does allow us to take out Pinocchio, which was the biggest threat our opponent had. And then we can play a Rapunzel. Heal her for days. Suddenly we're in business. Rapunzel can just remove, well, heal a character for 2 per turn. But that means she doesn't quest or challenge. She just heals. Opponent plays a small Maleficent. Opponent's deck is quite aggressive. Slightly more aggressive curve. Well, thankfully we were on the play. Ooh, that's a nice pickup, the Gumbo Pot. I'll resolve Grand Pabbie. Opponent doesn't have anything exerted, so it will just heal some damage off of Mickey, gain 2 lore off of Mr. Pabbie, and we'll pass the turn back to your opponent. Grand Pabbie at its finest. Opponent's not expecting Gumbo Pot. I'm pretty sure I can assure you of that. Another just in time comes in. Expecting a bodyguard. Another Goofy maybe? Question is, does the opponent want to trade Merlin and Maleficent for our Maximus? I think I'd be fine with that trade. Which 5-drop are we expecting now? Just in time, Pascal. I'm confused. I guess our opponent doesn't have much. So we'll take advantage of that and just go questing with everyone. I'll play Jasmine just as a 1-quester. And I'll pass the turn back to our opponent. $10 to $12, and we can quest for 7. But we can gain a lot more lore if we can damage some of our characters. Opponent finds a Goofy. That might have been goofed up last turn. Opponent goes to quest and should have victory here. As a Gumbo Pot. The Gumbo Pot is going to win us the game. We can take out Goofy using 2 of our 1-quester character, healing them both, which means Grand Pabbie gives us 4 lore, Mickey gives us 5, and Grand Pabbie closes the game off of a heavy lore gain turn, thanks to Grand Pabbie's ability and tons of healing from the Gumbo Pot. Let's see if we can heal our opponent out of the game. We have a Grand Pabbie right off the bat, Gramma, Tala, Mickey Mouse, James. Really the full ramp package right there. With a few inkables. Going second. Feels like it's a lot of uninkables. I'm tempted to keep this. Let's give it a shot. Which means we're going to have to get rid of our Let It Goes. Ooh, and the opponent's playing an aggressive deck. World's Greatest Criminal Minds, probably not what I'll be needing. And as I pass the turn to the opponent, facing down the Lilo of Doom. Opponent following up with Lilo's favorite bodyguard, Mr. Simba. 2/3 bodyguard. Doesn't really need anything else. Let it go to the ink. Gramma, Tala to the board, and that'll be our turn. It's hard to come back from that kind of start, especially when we're not playing 1-drops. This is where it's hurting us. When the opponent's on play, hits the Lilo Simba into big turn 3 threat. Very big turn 3 threat in the form of Pinocchio. The 3-quester. Where is Mr. Pinocchio? There you are. Pawpsicle isn't going to help us here. It's not at this very second. We're going to have to ink it. Go for Mickey. I don't know, Simba's causing problems, but I'll take the ink off of Gramma Tala. And we're up to 5 ink. But the opponent's going to be up to 11 lore, and I don't really have anything to challenge it. The opponent plays an Arthur. Another essentially 3-quester. Pawpsicle isn't going to help us. Here, I think we have to go for James, but let's land our Pawpsicle, draw a card. Jasmine can get inked. We'll land James. Unfortunately, that's about it for us. 1, 2, 5, 8, 9. Very fast start from our opponent. That was a mistake though. Should bounce back Pinocchio. Not that it really matters. Well, at least we'll be able to not completely lose. We'll get some lore on the board. Grand Pabbie coming in just a little too slow. By just a little, I mean quite a lot too slow. Let's heal James. Off of Pawpsicle. Gain 2 lore off of Pabbie. And we can take out Pinocchio. And we'll have to concede the game over here. Too fast. We just couldn't catch up. The red was too slow. Oh well, it happens. Let's see this game in action. Gumbo Pot, Rapunzel, Maximus, Gumbo Pot number 2, Snow White, Rapunzel, and World's Greatest Criminal. So Rapunzel is a nice 2-drop, and we're going first. Send back Gumbo Pot. That's probably good enough. Then we finally let it go. Alright. Well, let's start by inking that Snow White that we don't intend on playing. Then pass the turn back. Plan is to play Rapunzel Sunshine. Ooh, we find a Pawpsicle. That's always an interesting one. Don't think we want the Gumbo Pot, so we're gonna ink it for now. And drop our Sunshine in Distress. That doesn't seem to be in distress right now. More like enjoying the sun and the lanterns. Is that actually a lantern? Seems like it. Lanterns came from Rapunzel. Makes sense. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. Or if I'm right and this is common knowledge. This one's a bit more rough. What do I ink? I don't have a nice 3-drop to play, so I think I'm going to play the Pawpsicle. See what we find. We find a Jasmine. A little heavy on 5 drops now. And a pair of healers, Jasmine's going to hit the ink. Then Rapunzel can quest. What's the worst that can happen? Probably Rafiki. A little bit of stumbling ink-wise, but on play it's not so bad. So far the opponent's only revealed ruby cards, I think. Madame Min bringing back LeFou. I do like that combination. I don't like that Madame Min can take out our Rapunzel though. That's a bit of a problem. With that said, I think we have to play Rapunzel this turn. So world's greatest criminal is going to get inked. As we play a lonely Rapunzel that really does nothing. No, it's a 1/4/2 quester. It is better than nothing, which is why I'm playing her. Highlighting Madam Min Fox, just 4-3 rush. I do prefer Rafiki in general, but in that one use case, the Fox did a lot of work. Extra stats. Sometimes they matter. Sometimes they don't, but yeah. Opponents pondering their play. Thinking the LeFou that got bounced back. Following up with a Maleficent. So it's a bouncy deck. Hence the Minnie Mouse 1-drop hitting the battlefield. Here I think I want to resolve a Maximus. I don't think I need Jasmine, Queen of Agrabah. And I don't really want to be susceptible to challenge from the Madam Min just yet. So I'm going to pass the turn off of that. I want to decide when the challenge happens. I don't want the opponent to gang up on Maximus. Also, we can make use of the support ability. Maybe let Rapunzel take a bit of beating instead. As the opponent plays Arthur. Palace Horse, still a solid card. Opponent decides to go on a very wide quest before playing another Madam Min. Makes sense. Madam Min bounces back Maleficent for more value, sacrificing some tempo. It's just the 3/3 for 2 that has the typical Madam Min ability. Now we need to pick our battles. I am tempted to go after the Rapunzel heals Maximus for a lot of draw. Yeah, let's go that route. Fast Horse, take out Madam Min. Rapunzel, Master Healer, Master Card Draw. I'll draw us a ton of cards, which we can now use to ink. It's a little late for Gramma Tala at this point. So I'm going to ink the Gramma. And I won't fully heal that Maximus. One has 3, 4. Not really that great challenges. Need to sacrifice 2 characters to take her out. Take it out. I'm okay if the opponent wants to go for that trade. Do have to be careful. The opponent is at 5 lore. And I do want to resolve a Grand Pabbie next turn. But the opponent can be playing some Dragon Fires and the likes of nasty removals. So maybe I want to wait an extra turn. Archer quest bounces. Madam Min quests up to 10. Let's bring back Grand Pabbie. Lady Tremaine forces me to sacrifice a character. Quite unfortunate. Rapunzel's going to go to the bin. And we find a Mickey Mouse detective. That is interesting. I want to just hard resolve a Grand Pabbie. Heal Maximus. Take out Madam Min. No, I think I need to take out Arthur. So take out Arthur. Heal Maximus off of the Pawpsicle. Or I can sing Let It Go. Doesn't seem overly great. I think I'm going to have to ink Jasmine. Let go a little bit of the healing synergies. Resolve a Grand Pabbie. And yeah, I need to take out Arthur. Because it's a bit too much of a threat. And I'll heal the Maximus. Triggering Grand Pabbie's ability. And gaining 2 lore. Rapunzel Conquest. Starting to apply some pressure to our opponent, bringing our score to 5. 5 to 10. We're unfortunately out of healing, because I had to sacrifice most of my healing cards. Opponent decides to double sacrifice, I imagine, to take out Maximus. I don't know, Lady Tremaine's hesitating. She's looking at her cat and saying, do we really want to do this? Do we want to part ways? I mean, you have 9 lives. And there's probably 4 copies of Lady Tremaine, so I guess she does have a few additional lives in this deck. And a few different versions, too. So, I'm not sure. Who has more life, Lady Tremaine or Cat? Well, our cat also has a card. Complicates things. Alright, Maleficent, Arthur, and Tremaine will quest or do nothing. Or challenge? She's still thinking about it. But Arthur, Maleficent quest for 4. 5, 6 off of Tremaine. Which is a bit of a problem. I think here we just want to spread the damage. So Maximus can quest, give support to Rapunzel. Rapunzel can take out Lady Tremaine. I think I want to quest with Grand Pabbie. Which means I need to ink Maximus. Go Mickey. And let it go. Goodbye, Arthur. Let's give you one more ink. Quest for 3. Suddenly, 12 to 9. And we have the commanding board presence. And the opponent is on Be Prepared ink. Which I kind of assume our opponent isn't playing, considering they're playing a spammage of characters. And if they did play it, then I was not prepared. Opponent drawing some card, resolving a Hey Chicken Doom. As we find another Grand Pabbie. Not the most useful in this particular board state. But Maximus can quest, supporting Mickey into taking out Maleficent. Rapunzel can quest, and we can go double drop. With a little bit of James on the battlefield. Haven't played him very often. Very nice little comment. Whenever he's banished, we ink. He goes to town, decides to challenge the palace horse, and he'll come back for another serving. Maui just takes out Rapunzel. And now the board state is equalizing quite a bit. Ooh, Jasmine, Queen of Agrabah. That's an interesting pickup. Can gain 2 lore by healing Mickey next turn. So I think we just go Grand Pabbie, quest with James, quest with Mickey, pass the turn. Is that the play? So Hey just doesn't have any good trading target. And we can still heal the Mickey, and maybe even heal Grand Pabbie, depending on how the opponent plays this. James will find us some more ink. Also comes down to, does the opponent have removal for our Grand Pabbie? Second Maui comes in. And to Maui, I say owie, because that's a lot of power. It's unfortunately enough to take out Grand Pabbie. Opponent questing with Hey Hey is going to give us the win, though. No, actually, we don't even need it. We heal Mickey, gain 2, and we can quest for 3 with Grand Pabbie. So I think we got it. Alright, Jasmine. Come and heal the crew. I can also just challenge the Hey Hey to get a second healing trigger. But it's over the top as Grand Pabbie quests for 3, and we take the win. These little bit of extra 2 lures here and there just... they matter, they count. And it's one of the only ways that we have right now to just surprise the opponent with a burst of extra lore. So you can't just count whatever the opponent has on the board when they're playing healing, because the Grand Pabbie can just come in and bunch of lore. It's kind of the same thing with that Amethyst Tome, where you can just play it, gain 1 lore out of nowhere, and we're starting to see a few new cards like that. Grand Pabbie is probably the most impactful one, but it's really cool to play. I hope that you've enjoyed this video featuring Heal Me to Life and Grand Pabbie, the all-star character that allows us to snipe a bit of extra lore, just surprise our opponent with a burst of lore, and win games off of his ability and solid stats line. Featuring a bunch of other awesome healing cards that really got to shine. I mean, look at this. She is shining and sunshining again, and didn't shine that much through our games, but that's okay. We've seen other characters shine through the games and see just how fun healing can be as long as the opponent just doesn't rush us out, which happens to everyone, really. I hope that you've had a great time. Don't forget to give a like to the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the healing strategies and whether you plan on playing it yourself or not, and which tweaks you'd like to be making to this deck. Again, I hope that you've had a great time, and I will see you in the next video.